Hello everybody and welcome to my third 2023 NFL mock draft. And as you guys all know, we got a big shakeup at the top. We got the Panthers moving up, trading up with the Bears from number 9 to number 1. And in return, the Bears are receiving 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore. And if you ask me, I think the Bears got a lot. I think maybe the Panthers gave up too much here. You're talking about a DJ Moore, like a 25-year-old stud, the top 10-ish receiver, locked up on an affordable deal, plus 2 first-round picks, plus 2 second-round picks. I mean, I don't know if I would give that up, but it's been done. It happened, and I guess to some extent that is what it takes to come up here and get a chance at the quarterback you like. And so we're gonna kick it off, and the quarterback that everybody's saying that the Panthers did move up for, that is CJ Stroud. And he's right now the betting favorites by a mile. He's about like negative 400 on your money to go number 1. And I do get it. If you're the Panthers and you're making this move and you have a complete roster, honestly, like, okay, maybe you did just open up a hole at receiver, but other than that, you do have a complete roster. You don't really necessarily want to go for a guy like AR or Will Levis. Like, you would rather get the CJ Stroud who can play now. When it comes to Bryce Young, personally, I don't love him. I think he might be too small to play in the NFL, if I'm being honest. But he does have potential. I don't really know if I would take Stroud over Young, but it seems like what the Panthers are going to do. And Stroud is a good quarterback in his own right. He's a really good prospect. So yeah, I quite like Stroud. And so that leaves us here with the Texans at 2. And I honestly really did want to go a different route here than most people are doing. Like, I didn't really want to go quarterback. I was more interested in Will Anderson and kind of waiting for the quarterbacks next year. But they did just sign Robert Woods, and it feels to me that they are going to take a quarterback here, especially if Bryce Young is on the board. So that's what we're going to do. He is a bit small, as I said. He's very small, really. And that concerns me. But if you're a poverty franchise like the Texans and you have to just shoot for the stars, I do get it. He's a great quarterback. If he was 2 inches taller, I mean, he would literally be like Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow, like one of those types of prospects. So I get it. And yeah, I think D'Amico Ryans and the Texans are happy to get Bryce Young here. So that leaves us at with the Cardinals at 3. I was kind of entertaining a trade down, but no, I think they're just going to stick and pick. I don't know if too many teams are calling to go get the third quarterback, So I think I'm going to go with Will Anderson here. To me, he is the best player in this class. I've been saying that for a while, even before all the Jalen Carter stuff came out, and he's still going to go high, Jalen Carter. I mean, he's a stud too. I just like Will Anderson more. He plays a more valuable position, and I think he has a real Von Miller or even Micah Parsons potential. If you want to see why I say that, I actually have a video. You can check it out. It's on my channel. But yeah, I really love Will Anderson. He's a freak. He has a great first step. He's really good against the run. He doesn't have the greatest bend in the world, but no, I think he could easily be a number 1 edge rusher. So, at number 4, that leaves us with the Colts, and I think they're happy here to pick up Anthony Richardson. I think if they were able to secure that number 1 overall pick, I think it's somebody they might have been considering anyway for that pick. Anthony Richardson, to me, is the best quarterback prospect in this class, so the fact that you're getting him at 4 is awesome. His size, his speed, his arm talent, I mean, everybody knows, right? And people like to say that he hasn't, he's very raw, and he is very raw, but he's done a lot more in terms of reading defenses and going through his progressions than people give him credit for. He actually does have a quarterback mentality about it, and he doesn't look to scramble right away. He scrambles with the intent to throw, which I quite like. I think he's going to be awesome, honestly, and he's, to me, if I was a GM, the only quarterback I would be willing to take a shot on in this class. But that leaves us with the Seahawks at 5, and they are in heaven that they can get Jalen Carter at 5. If you had even said Jalen Carter would even make it to 5 like 2 weeks ago, you would have thought it was crazy. But, the quarterback, with the Panthers moving up, first of all, right? Because we had thought it would be the Colts to move up. But now, no, there's 3 quarterbacks presumably going in the top 5, right? And with the Cardinals, and Jalen Carter's concerns with this whole racing thing, it makes sense that the Cardinals would feel Will Anderson is a better pick. However, he is too good, no matter those concerns, to pass up on for a team that needs defensive interior so badly. He also kind of feels like a Seahawk. I think he would look good in a Seahawks jersey. And we all know about him. He's a stud. So, it's an easy pick there. Let's just move on. And so, a lot of people at 6 with the Lions, they like to go with Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez. I don't see it personally. I think this is a really good quarterback class. It's also a really good edge class. However, I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson. I think Tyree Wilson has the potential to be a better edge rusher than Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez do to be corners. And they're great prospects too. It's just that Tyree Wilson, I mean, he has the same wingspan as Giannis Antetokounmpo, however you say his name, right? Like, that's wild. Like, this guy is like Trayvon Walker level athlete, like freak. So if he's getting to you at 6, a guy who, is pretty much equitable to the guy who went number 1 overall last year, yeah, I mean, you take that. I think the Lions, sure, they do have James Houston and Aiden Hutchinson, but I think that's not going to stop them from trying to really make a dominant defensive line. I've highlighted in the past why I think the Lions are trying to build like the 49ers, and that starts in the trenches. And I just think it's a good thing to make a strength, right? You don't necessarily want to attack for needs all the time, because it can oftentimes be better to be great at something than just good at everything. You know what I mean? And if that greatness is on the defensive line, your defense will be a lot better. So the Raiders here, in my opinion, they should snag Will Levis here. That's what I think they should do. But knowing the Raiders, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to convince themselves that they're still in the window, that they can still win, just like they did last year. I don't know why they did it. I don't know why they feel that this is they're always in some Super Bowl window when they're clearly not. They have a bad defense. They have a bad offensive line. They have good weapons, sure, and no quarterback. But I think they're going to go sign a quarterback off the street, whether that be Jimmy G or I guess just another available option. I guess there aren't too many left anymore, but there still are some quarterbacks going around. I think they're going to sign one. They're going to convince themselves they're in a window, and they're going to just address a need of theirs, which is offensive line. So, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman is Paris Johnson Jr. To me, he's like the perfect in-between Broderick Jones and Peter Skoronski, where you have Peter Skoronski, who's a technician and really good right now, and however, like, his arms are kind of short, so there's some concern about that. And then you have Broderick Jones, who's much more of a project, very raw, with crazy upside. And Paris Johnson is like right in between for me. Like, he is a technician, but he also has that same upside. And to me, he's been my tackle 1 this whole time. So that leaves the Falcons here, and they are going to go get Will Levis. I don't want to hear anything about Desmond Ridder. They invested a 3rd-round pick in him, and he has not, it was a 3rd-round pick, right? Like, that's not a lot to go for a quarterback. And he didn't really show you anything last year to make you think otherwise, like, to make you not want to do this. And he was never that high of an upside player in the first place. So, to me, you go and you grab Will Levis, you go and grab an actually high upside quarterback that could be the future of this franchise, who has been needing a future for a little while now. So, that leaves us with the Bears at number 9, and this pick is easy. This is slam dunk Lucas Van Ness, no question about it for me. Lucas Van Ness, I really, really like. This is a great edge class, like I said. Van Ness is like, he's huge. He's like 280, 6'6", gotta be. And he's just an athlete, man. He tested great at the combine. He's a people mover, and he has insane power. Insane power. I think it's going to translate really well. This guy has real J.J. Watt upside. He might not reach that because he still does have to develop some of his finesse moves per se. But right now, you're getting right away a elite power rusher in the NFL, and any team would love to have that, especially the Bears, who have an absolutely putrid front seven. So, the Eagles at 10 here. This is actually kind of hard for me because as much as I do want to go with one of the corners, considering Darius Slay has been allowed to seek a trade, you also have the defensive line. All these guys are expected to hit free agency, like pretty much all of their starters there. And it's like, right now, it's hard to mock for the Eagles because we don't know what their free agency is going to look like and who they get back. And you know what? I will go with a corner here. I would also love to go with Bijan, by the way, but that was before we realized they were going to lose everybody. But yeah, Devon Witherspoon, he's great. He could even be a safety if he wanted to. He's a lot of people's corner 1. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. He hits hard, and I know that's not the first thing you necessarily say about a corner, but he has good coverage ability, right? The reason people say he might be a safety is because he comes down in the lane and hits really hard. So he has positional versatility in that regard, and he's just a really athletic guy. So for the Eagles, who actually do kind of need corner, and I didn't want to say corner initially, but now that I think about it, they do kind of need corner. For the Eagles who need corner, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for them to come on up and do this. So, next up we got, at number 11, we got the Titans. And the Titans, to me, I was contemplating trading down, but I didn't really see a team that wanted to trade up. So I'm just going to go with Peter Skoronski. Just address, what you need. You let Taylor Lewan go. You go get this tackle. It's perfect for the Titans, Skoronski, because the concerns about his arm length even say if he weren't able to play tackle, he could then translate into guard, and the Titans also need a guard. I think it just works really well. I'm not going to have too much to say about that. It's not flashy, it's not sexy, but it's what they do. And so now we have the Texans at 12. And the Texans at 12, you consider grabbing a weapon for Bryce Young. You do. But again, they signed Robert Woods. They feel okay about Nico Collins. John Mechie's coming back. Like, it's not the worst position group in the world. I mean, it's not great. It's not good. But I don't know if you have to take that here when the value isn't really here. To me, you got D'Amico Ryans coming in from the 49ers. He knows what he wants to do, and that is build a really good D-line. And that's going to start with Nolan Smith here. Nolan Smith is a big riser at the combine. He was a lot of a better athlete than people thought he was going to be. Straight up, his 40 time was nuts. We all saw it. And for a guy who wasn't even supposed to be able to attend the combine because of his health, to go on and put on a show like that, yeah, it's going to rise his stock. And you have an edge needy team like the Texans, they're going to go grab one. And I think this is a really good pick for them. They would have loved it if Van Ness fell, but the way this all happened with the Panthers moving up, I just don't see them getting past Chicago. All right, and now we got the New York Jets, and they are actually not going to be taking this pick. In this world that we're doing this mock draft, I do believe Aaron Rodgers is going to get traded to the Jets. So that would probably be this first round pick and a little something on top. So I'm going to force that through, and we are going to have the Green Bay Packers at 13 and 15 as a result. They give the Jets Aaron Rodgers, Jets give him the first round pick, maybe a third round, this year, next year, something like that, and it gets done. So if you're the Packers, what do you want here? What do you really need? And to me, that is pretty simply, you need Brian Branch. I've talked about this before ad nauseum, really, but he is the absolute perfect fit for the Packers, because you have this slot corner safety versatile guy in Darnell Savage, right? You have that already. And he was playing safety for the first few years of his career, and he's been dropping off, and he wasn't that good. He honestly was not that good. And then he moved to slot corner, and he was really good until he got hurt last year. He was really good in that role. So you bring in Brian Branch, and he can play that safety for Darnell Savage. However, maybe Savage comes back and he figures something out. Maybe he's a good safety again. Okay, you put Brian Branch at slot corner. Maybe you put both of them at safety, right? Because Adrian Amos might leave this offseason, getting old anyway, right? So it's a big need for the Packers, a lot bigger need than people really mention. They do need an extra safety, maybe even two. So to me, this is a no-brainer. You go and you get Brian Branch, and he's a really good player. So, yeah. So that leaves us with the Patriots at 14, and the Patriots are going to go and grab Joey Porter Jr. Christian Gonzalez is also a really good prospect. I just, for the fit, like Joey Porter Jr. to the Pats more. Joey Porter is this huge, really lengthy, sticky man corner, and I think that is all the Patriots want. That's all the Patriots dream of, man. He's a great prospect. You'll see him going around this range at kind of the highest, and maybe sometimes down to around the 20s, but he's going to be a first-round pick. I think the Patriots are dream fit, honestly. I think they'd be great, and lucky to have him at 14. So now we got the Packers picking again, and the Packers, to me, I thought about this a bit, and maybe it is unrealistic because I know they don't like to take receiver, but they're going to take JSN here. Jackson Smith-Njigba throughout this process has been really growing on me, man, because he is just so refined and such a ball winner, and is going to be one of the best slot receivers in the NFL from day one. And when you have Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, who are more outside threats, if you can go get JSN to complete that trio of receivers and have an elite slot receiver for your new quarterback and presumably Jordan Love, I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. It's unrealistic, kind of, right? Because we don't know if they'll actually take a receiver in the first round. But at 15, you got 2 first-round picks. The value is there. Your team really doesn't have many needs. I think you should be taking JSN, so that's what I'm going to do. So we got the Commanders here, and the Commanders need corner. They've needed it for a while, and what could be the best corner is still on the board in Christian Gonzalez. So they're going to run to the podium, put this one in. They're going to be they're going to be excited. They're going to run to the podium, put this one in. They're going to be very excited that Christian Gonzalez made it to them, and they're not going to think twice about it. Christian Gonzalez is pretty similar to Joey Porter, a man guy, a long guy. A lot of these corners are long. And he's just coming out from Oregon. He just has a lot of hype, a lot of buzz around him, and Washington would be very blessed to get him here at 16. Next up at 17, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are pretty upset that run on corners, that little run on corners just happened, because I think they were sitting here thinking that they probably could have got one of the top 3 at 17 with the way the board was falling. Otherwise, I would have had them move up for one, but I think they felt pretty comfortable that they could have grabbed one, and they just got swept from underneath them. And I think, however, they will settle on Deonte Banks. Deonte Banks is not as refined of a corner as any of these guys. In terms of a quarterback, positional prospect, he's worse. However, he's the best athlete of the bunch. He's an absolute freak, which gives him crazy upside. And his tape is not as unrefined as we were led to believe in the beginning of the cycle. Deonte Banks actually does have a certain bit of refined to him, a certain bit of technician to him. And with those athletic tools, the sky's the limit. You got great defensive coaching there in Pittsburgh, and it makes sense to bet on these high upside guys when you're just playing for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. You got the Steelers legacy and everything. It just makes sense to take these high upside guys there. So at 18, the Lions, look, I guess maybe now this is when they might start to regret Tyree Wilson, right? Because they sit there and they're like, damn, we really didn't get any of the top corners. But what do they do then? To me, they just continue doing what they're doing. They grab Brian Brzee. They take this offseason to make a dominant defensive line. And I would love this. I would love this for the Lions. Like, they got free agency. Like, they could go find a corner free agency. They probably will even, right? And the best part about, like, cornerbacks is you don't really need one that bad if your defensive line is getting pressure very quickly. A lot of guys can hang for those first 3 seconds. So if you're going to get sacked in 3 seconds, your cornerback's going to be a little weaker. And you know what? They got the second round. They got the third round. There are other good prospects further down in this class. But you get to pair Tyree Wilson with Aiden Hutchinson. James Houston can come on third downs. You got Ali McNeil with Brian Brzee now, who offers so much more as like an interior pocket pusher, like a pass rusher. Yeah, I mean, that's stacked. This is a great draft for the Lions, and I don't want to hear anything otherwise, I'm going to be honest. But anyway, I got the Buccaneers here at 19 with tons of needs, really. Anywhere. You could look anywhere, and the Buccaneers probably need it. But to me, they're going to go with Broderick Jones. They just released, I forget his name, but they just released their long-term left tackle. He was on a pretty bad contract, so they had to let him go. The corners are off the board, which is probably their biggest need. There's no good quarterbacks here. And it's just like, okay, go replace what you just lost. Make sure your offensive line is good enough that whichever quarterback you do end up getting in the building, that he can figure it out, that he can be well protected and stay upright and deliver some throws, and maybe you'll develop something, Broderick Jones also has very, very, very high upside. He has the potential to be one of the best tackles in the league, but he's a project, and so it works well with your window. You're about to initiate like sort of a mini rebuild, maybe a reload, but you're in a time of change right now, so if you're going to go grab a tackle who might take a while, that works perfectly fine for you, perfectly fine. So we got the Seahawks here at number 20, and they just picked Jalen Carter at number 5. And to me, we're going to do something very, very similar to what the Lions did. And I'm going to keep doing this because I love this. They're going to take Will McDonald here. Will McDonald is a very speedy, bendy edge rusher. And that's what people really love. It's exciting, right? He played in a very weird system at Iowa where they didn't really utilize him how he will be utilized in the NFL. They didn't really utilize him as a true edge rusher the way you think of it. But when he was rushing the quarterback, he was one of the most, I believe, one of the top 3 most efficient rushers in college football. He was getting tons of pressures at a very high rate. And Will McDonald has all the potential to just be one of those freaks, like a Hassan Reddick type, just one of those speed-only guys, finesse-only guys, without any power to their game. But one that can consistently get after the quarterback and do it well. And so to me, yeah, it's very similar to what the Lions are doing, just beefing up a D-line when you really need a D-line. And I love the strategy, so that's probably a personal bias of mine, but I would not stop doing this. If you need D-line, double dip, man. Go get your guys. All right. So at 21 here, we got the Chargers. Of course, the Miami Dolphins forfeited their pick. So the Chargers, they need a speedy receiver. They need a good receiver. And the best receiver in this class, in my opinion, is Zay Flowers. He's also the best deep threat in this class. More so than Jalen Hyatt. I don't want to hear it. Zay Flowers is that dude. All right, he's a little small. He's like 5'11", 190 something. Maybe he's 5'10" even, but he's not really prototypical size. But you have prototypical size. You have Keenan Allen. You have Mike Williams. Those are both big guys, particularly Mike Williams. You can afford to take this different skill set here at Zay Flowers, somebody who really will burn you deep. And it's not just his speed. Like, he's not like the fastest guy in the world. He's a great deep route runner. He's great at locating the ball over the shoulder and making those tough catches. And to me, yeah, he's my receiver 1. I think he can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. And wherever you put him, you're going to be happy. You're going to be very happy that you took him. So that leaves us with the Ravens here at 22. And the Ravens are also going to go receiver. They're going to go Jordan Addison. They, as much as you do have Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay, they are both they're not number 1 X receivers. Rashad Bateman, maybe he could become that. Maybe. But I see him more like a Z. And Devin Duvernay is like a slot gadget guy. But Jordan Addison does have the potential to be an X number 1 receiver. He's pushed down a little bit because he didn't really run that well at the combine. But he does look pretty fast on tape. He's a pretty fast player. And he's a separator, man. He's like almost like your Amari Cooper type or your Stephon Diggs type, like someone who's just gonna route run the hell out of you and get open. And that's really what you're looking for, in my opinion, from a number one receiver. That's why I don't like Quentin Johnson as much, because I don't think he can separate. Jordan Addison can. He has some drop concerns, but I'm sure you'll figure that out. I mean, anybody who's going in the first round of the NFL draft, they're the best athletes in the world. They could figure something out like catching a football. So at 23, I actually have a trade here. I have the Buffalo Bills coming up and trading with the Vikings, and they'll give them, maybe a 4th round pick and maybe like a 7th next year, like something like that, because it's not too far. They're moving up. They're gonna come up here, and that is with the intention of skipping the Jaguars, skipping the Giants, skipping the Cowboys, all teams that could be interested in looking at the interior of the offensive line. And so they're gonna grab Steve Avila, and make sure that nobody else does before them. And Steve Avila, to me, is the best guard in this class for a team that really needs guard. He's very strong. He's a really, really good pass protector, like a smart one, a nuanced one, a mature one. He's a very mature pass protector. He's good at picking up stunts. He knows, when to help the guy out or when he's got it and when to move on to the next. And when it comes to the run game, he's very good at moving forward, like directly in front of him. Like in a power scheme, he's great. I think he's better than Osiris Torrance slightly because Avila has showed a lot more pass protection. Avila has played good games against like Jalen Carter and stuff, where Osiris Torrance hasn't. And that to me is honestly a pretty big difference. Like I noticed that, and it really made me feel that Avila is a better pick here. I think for the Bills, a team that needs to win now, you're going to go address what you need to get now, and you don't mind if you have to give up some mid-round picks to go make sure that the Jags or the Giants or the Cowboys, all teams who do have somewhat of a need in that interior of the offensive line, the Giants and the Jags more so than the Cowboys, don't take your guy. And the Jags, I do think, are a little annoyed with that. I think they're a little annoyed because I think they are going to go Osiris Torrance, and I think they would have gone Steve Avila if he had made it there. But I think it's just important to protect Trevor Lawrence. They got all the weapons they need there. Their defense doesn't really have that many holes. Like, they could use a cornerback, like an outside cornerback, but there's not really the value right here, 24. A lot of them already went. So you go and you grab Osiris Torrance. He's going to be a really good run blocker, and he does have to develop as a pass protector, but I'm sure that he will. It's a big need for the Jaguars. It's a good prospect, and that's all I got to say about that. The Giants here, to me, at 25, with Quentin Johnson on board, it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't like him that much, Quentin Johnson, that is. But Brian Daboll is going to be able to get the best out of Quentin Johnson. And so if Quentin Johnson is going to a well-coached team, I do think he can really become something. It also works well because Johnson isn't really that good of a route runner, but in Daboll's system, you don't really have to be. It's useful, obviously, anywhere, but you're just running a lot of like deep crosses where your route running prowess is not really something that needs to be taken into consideration of. It's more of just your size and your speed and your ability to catch the ball. And Quentin Johnson is good at those things. If he fell to the 25, I think the Giants would be freaking happy as hell. This would make them a lot better to get Johnson here. So we got the Cowboys at 26. To me, it's going to be Kalijah Cansey here. So yeah, Cansey had a really good combine. He's very similar to like Ed Oliver. That's a really big popular comp I'm seeing, and it's a proper comp. He's a smaller guy who profiles as like a pass rusher who probably can hold his own against the run, but his ideal fit would be as like a pass rush first defensive interior lineman. And the Cowboys honestly have gone a long time without addressing the defensive interior. Like if you remember like 2 years ago when they had a horrible defense, that was one of their big needs. And then Dan Quinn came in and kind of like steadied the ship, but they actually didn't really invest anything in that. Like they have like Neville Gallimore still starting there. Like it's not really a good group. So yeah, with the receivers that you might have wanted gone, it makes just a lot of sense for me that you sit here and you take Kalijah Cansey, you draft a position of need that's been a position of need for a while. The Vikings here at pick 27, I think they were okay to move down with Buffalo and maybe see some receivers go, because I think they like what they see in Josh Downs. Josh Downs to me is a really good complement to Justin Jefferson. I think he's just a really good complementary receiver. He's small, he's like 5'9", but he's not a slot guy really. He is really good. He has really good release off the line, so he will be able to beat man press coverage even though he's smaller because his release is like that good. And he also is surprisingly good at like catching contested balls. It's really weird, but he has like one of the highest contested ball catch rates in college football. So yeah, he has great hands, he's a great route runner, and he has a great release. So I think he's a stud receiver. I think I could very easily see him sneak into the first round once some of these guys go. I mean, I could even see him going before Quentin Johnson, really, but probably not Addison and Zay Flowers. But yeah, I mean, they just released Adam Thielen. They have a need at receiver. They're going to go get it. So the Bengals here, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to be taking Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington is, as we all saw, a freak. He is, like many people say, it's like having an extra O-lineman out there. If that O-lineman could run like a 4.55 and catch the ball, right? He's 6'7" too. He's crazy. He's just a really good fit. I don't think he's the best tight end in this class, but he's the first tight end in this class that's going to go because he fits what the Bengals want to do so well, where they want to run the ball, they want to run outside, they have a strong run game, and Darnell Washington will really be able to help with that. Meanwhile, you have a pin-perfect passer in Joe Burrow, who is also knows where to go with football every time, that Darnell Washington will just like provide such a mismatch problem, like on seam routes and any route that he wants to run. But I could just imagine it like so easily, like Joe Burrow just hitting him on a seam route in a place that nobody else can catch it, and that would be pretty easy because he's 6'7". Like I think he's gonna be a stud, man. If he goes to the Bengals, he might not be great everywhere he goes, but if he goes to the Bengals, whew, that boy's gonna be different. So next up at 29, we got the Saints. The Saints, to me, is pretty easy. They're going to go Miles Murphy. Some of you guys might be surprised by the way to see Murphy fall this far, but this is kind of the trend that we're beginning to see pick up. Miles Murphy is not as much of an athlete and does not have that much production. And he doesn't profile to be as good of an edge rusher as some of these other guys that are jumping him. But for the Saints, who do want a bigger run-defending type of edge rusher, they always have. They have Cam Jordan in the back end of his career. Marcus Davenport, who never really worked out. He's also set to become a free agent. You go grab Miles Murphy. That's a lot of value for the Saints here, really. They get a lot of different positions, but it just makes sense to me that that is a guy they go and they grab. So the Eagles here, and this is great because I was considering him at 10. They're going to get Bijan Robinson here at pick number 30, and I don't think they could be more excited. We all know Bijan Robinson is like one of the best running back prospects, well, the best running back prospect to come out since Saquon Barkley. Might even be better prospect than Saquon Barkley, maybe not, but still, he's a stud. He can run with anybody, he can catch the ball. His lateral agility and just stop, start, and just juke moves, I mean, it's crazy. And that's all you're looking for with the running back. Whatever you see in college a running back do will translate to the NFL. That is one of those positions, like if you saw it in college, it's going to happen too in the NFL too. Bijan is that dude. They just they didn't just let Miles Sanders go, but we're probably going to see them let Miles Sanders go because he's going to want some money, and honestly, it's probably not worth it. Howie's a good GM, he's not going to do that. He's just going to say, no, I can get Bijan at 30. And maybe he can't, but maybe he can get Gibbs at 30. You know what I mean? I think Miles Sanders is going to go. And in this world, they get Bijan here. They are happy. And this has the potential to be like one of the best run games ever. Straight up ever. With Jalen Hurts as a factor in the RPO game, which is, pretty new, which is why I can say ever. It's pretty new that the quarterback is so involved with the run. So you got Jalen Hurts in that regard. You got Bijan Robinson, who could be Hall of Fame running back. He could be, right? He has that potential. And you have one of the best offensive line ever. You have 2 Hall of Famers on that offensive line. So, yeah, no question about it, man. You go grab Bijan. You go grab. And this is our final pick here. We're going to be wrapping up here. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be taking DeJuan Jones. It is very likely that we see the departure of Orlando Brown Jr., who has not been playing that well. He's not really that good of a player. He's around like a top 16 tackle, You want better than that. If you're the Chiefs, you want better than that. You want to draft a long-term solution there that could potentially turn into more than Orlando Brown is, and protect Mahomes for the next 10 years of his contract. That would be awesome. DeJuan Jones, he's freaking huge. He's so huge, and he's honestly pretty good. He's once somebody gets contacted by DeJuan Jones, they're not going anywhere. He has a little work to do, but people are coming around to the fact that this is a first-round tackle. First-round tackles in general, like, it's a very needed position. Like, they're not always like the most refined prospect, but they get refined. They learn in the NFL, and when you have all the tools in the world like DeJuan Jones, yeah, I think it could work out just fine. But anyway, thank you guys all for watching. That's all I got for you today. Let me know what you feel about my picks. If you really like something, you really hate something, make sure you drop that down below. Let me know. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe. I got big plans for this week, for the next 2 weeks really. I'm going to be dropping like 3 or 4 little video essays, which I love to make. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit my subscribe button and maybe click the bell if you want notifications, I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.